Hi, this is Irma Jennings from Food for Healthy Bones, and I'm here with my kitchen mate, Vicky Sarnoff. And of course, Skelly is here because Skelly is the skeleton that lives in us all. What we're about to explain and show and demonstrate today is sauerkraut. And why does that matter? Because our gut health is the vital aspect of all health. Bone health, heart health, overall health is gut health. Sauerkraut is a wonderful probiotic, a natural probiotic to support gut health. So Vicky's going to tell us about it, the nuances of it, and then we're going to show you how to make it, how easy it is to make it. So Vicky, tell me about sauerkraut. Where did it come from and where did it originate?
So a lot of people think that sauerkraut really came from Germany or in that area because of its name, but it really originated in China.
What?
China, yes. When they were building the Great Wall of China, the workers would eat, especially during the summer, they would have rice and cabbage. And in the winter months, they decided they needed to keep it from going bad, so they added rice vinegar to it, and they really created a fermented food. Eventually, when Genghis Khan was conquering the world, sauerkraut was brought to Middle Europe. And so it settled into Germany, and that's where it got its name.
Who knew? So I always thought it was German.
Right.
Or American hot dog origination. But no. Okay.
It really came from China.
So tell us more about sauerkraut. What is going to be your process?
So what we're going to do today, we're going to pick a pretty green sauerkraut, piece of cabbage, and I want you to wash your hands first before you start working, and then remove that outer layer, which is sort of the dirty layer of the cabbage. But we're not going to wash the cabbage because we need the bacteria that comes from the soil, which is eventually going to make the lactobacillus plantarum that we need to ferment it.
But this is organic cabbage.
Absolutely start with organic cabbage.
Okay, because you don't want the creepy crawly.
You don't want the herbicides or any of those things. So we take our cabbage and cut it in half. Have a good sturdy knife, and once it's in half, you have to cut out the core. And once the core is removed, you can start slicing the cabbage. I say thin slices, maybe the width of a dime. Really works well.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. You can even have thicker ones. If you ever ate kimchi, it's often chunkier. It's a very similar process, just different spices. So,
but for my very much perfectionist clients who want to make sure that it's exactly right, that's not necessary here. You just want to cut it up.
Absolutely, just nice slices.
Okay.
Once you've sliced your cabbage, put it in a nice sized bowl that you can maneuver with. The only other ingredient we're going to use is salt. And you should really use a kosher sea salt, which is a chunkier salt, but it's wonderful. So for a nice-sized cabbage, you only need 1 tablespoon of salt.
Now, I don't like a lot of salt.
Right.
So what would I do?
I would cut that down a little bit. Okay. So use 3/4 of a tablespoon.
But salt is absolutely necessary.
You need that salt. The salt will draw out the liquid that we need to create the fermentation process. So once you coat your cabbage in the salt, we then spend 10 to 15 minutes massaging that cabbage. And it can be done as a very meditative process. You can just really get into massaging and rubbing that cabbage together. And we do that until the liquids start to flow from the cabbage. And it's going to drip.
It's going to drip, but I want to say one thing. This is the mindfulness. So not only do you cut a cabbage in half and then you look at the cabbage. Yeah. Don't forget to look, because it almost looks like a tree on the inside. And this is just a reminder how magnificent nature is. And then we have this moment of massaging.
Yes.
Mindful, lovingly sending loving thoughts. And this is a single task. You don't want to have the news going on in the background. You want to be in it and feel it. Feel the juice. And
your hands will feel it. It takes some work to do it, but it's really very good for you.
So I was just listening to an interview yesterday with Dr. Lonnie Simpson about arthritis and how we have to move our joints. And this is a great exercise for doing that.
Absolutely.
Love that thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
And what's the next step?
So once we have those juices flowing, we're going to take a quart-sized ball jar, which is a glass jar, and we're going to take a handful of it, and we're going to slowly start packing it in. So we do a little bit at a time and keep pressing it down because there's little air bubbles, and we want to push those air bubbles up and always keeping some of that liquid. We're going to use all the liquid that we've created from the massaging, and we're going to do that slowly until we fill up the jar. So the jar you need about half an inch to an inch of liquid above.
Right.
Because has to grow in an anaerobic environment, which
What does that mean?
means it doesn't have any air.
Okay.
So the oxygen is not there. That's why we're pressing out all those little air bubbles. And the liquid stays on top the entire time.
All right. So we cut, we massage, and we pack.
Now, once you've packed it, it's not over yet. So you just put the lid on very lightly, or you could put a piece of cheesecloth over it. And we're going to let that sit for anywhere from 5 to 8 days. But every day you have homework to do. You have to pack it down twice a day. So what I like to do is in the morning I'll get up, I wash my hands, and then I will pack the cabbage again. And just push it down, because a little bit will float to the top. Pack it down. Those little air bubbles will keep rising up. Put the lid lightly on it and let it sit again. I do it again before I go to bed at night.
It's almost like brushing your teeth, right? You do it twice a day.
Do it twice a day.
When you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you pack your sauerkraut, and before you go to bed, before you brush your teeth, you pack your sauerkraut.
But you will notice by the next morning and for the next couple of days, you're going to see all these little bubbles forming on the top. That's the fermentation process. So that's the exciting thing that you want to have happen. And once those bubbles disappear and it stops doing that, your sauerkraut's done.
Boom.
Then you can seal it up and put it in the refrigerator. Oh, I forgot one important thing.
What's that?
Once you start packing it, take a little piece of tape and put the date on it that you did it, just so you know when you did it. It's a reminder when it's stored in the refrigerator.
Yes.
It can last it's certainly good for a couple of months in there.
Couple of months.
But it's nice to know when you actually created it.
Right. So when that sauerkraut ends up in the back of the refrigerator, you can look at it and say, oh, I made it a month ago and I could still eat it, which is a beautiful thing. Now, this whole thing costs about...
Well, an organic cabbage, you can sometimes get them for like $1.99 a pound. So I say the whole thing, including a jar and the salt and everything, $5, $6.
$5 or $6 for your belly, for your gut health. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
And then you should eat every day.
Right.
Anywhere from a tablespoon to maybe 3 tablespoons. Depends, I like it just as on the side dish for things that I'm eating. Like to put it onto food. But, it's wonderful to get that bacteria in your gut.
Start slowly with a tablespoon. It could even be a little bit less. And then work your way up. And really think about putting it in things, not only on hot dogs, but some of us still eat hot dogs. I know you don't eat hot dogs. But on other pieces, if you're an animal protein eater, you could put it on the side of a pork chop or even a steak. Have you ever made it in an omelet?
I haven't. I would put it on the side. The thing with sauerkraut is I know that a lot of people grew up eating sauerkraut on hot dogs.
Right.
And it was kept hot. It was like in a heated container and they put the sauerkraut on. By heating sauerkraut, you're destroying the bacteria.
No good.
So you don't want to do that.
No.
So I wouldn't put it inside an omelet. I put it on the side of an omelet.
Of course, that's the heat thing.
Yeah,
right.
Heat thing.
All right. So what do you think? Do you think you're going to try this? So what we told you is how really simple this is. Now you can get a little bit more advanced if you want to add garlic or various kinds of seeds like caraway seeds.
You could add caraway seeds. You can add carrots. You can add turmeric. You can add ginger.
Like raw turmeric?
Yeah, I would grate some turmeric into it. I would grate carrots. You could grate carrots into it. You could do the ginger. I love that.
Yeah.
And any other vegetable if you wanted to put in there, it'll ferment with it. So it's great.
How about that? Okay. Irma from Food for Healthy Bones with Vicki Sarnoff signing off. Bye for now. If you enjoyed this video, kindly do me a favor. Right below you'll see that subscribe button. Click that and then you'll be notified of other videos as we roll them out. In addition, if you'd like to be part of my community, please go to my website, www.foodforhealthybones.com. There you could sign up for my 5 bone-loving recipes, and you'll receive my monthly newsletter. You can also see all my blog posts. I've been blogging for the past 10 or 11 years on all things bones. From my bones to yours, bye for now.